Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to close your eyes for just a second. Imagine standing right in the middle of a massive battlefield. As far as you can see in every direction, there are soldiers, elephants, horses, and chariots. There's this blinding dust, deafening noise, and a really terrifying energy just hanging in the air. Now, for thousands of years, the epic of Kurukshetra has been passed down through texts and stories, right? And it's often viewed as pure myth. But what if we could look at it differently? Today, we're going to explore the Mahabharata War, not just as an ancient story, but through the modern lenses of scientific data, archaeological evidence, and the incredible visualizing power of artificial intelligence. We're going to bring Kurukshetra back to life and really try to grasp the staggering reality of what actually happened there.
So, let's dive right into this. Just 18 days. That is literally all it took to alter the history of the Earth forever. The events that unfolded over this incredibly brief window of time were so catastrophic and honestly so massive in scale that they couldn't be fully captured in any single book or film or painting. I mean, think about that. In less than 3 weeks, an entire era was wiped clean.
4 million, or as the ancient texts describe it, roughly 40 lakh soldiers standing together on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. To put that into perspective for a second, if you take the largest standing armies in the modern world today, like the United States military, they don't even come close to this number. We're talking about a conflict larger than the First and Second World Wars combined, at least in terms of sheer troop concentration in one single area. And all of this happened right on the land of modern-day Haryana. In fact, even today, if you stand there, locals will tell you there's still a heaviness in the air. It's almost as if the soil itself remembers.
Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do you even organize 4 million soldiers? Well, the ancient texts measure these armies in a massive unit called an akshahuni. Just one of these units, just one, consisted of 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 65,610 cavalry, and 109,350 infantry soldiers. Now, take those staggering numbers and multiply them. The Kauravas commanded 11 of these massive units, while the Pandavas had 7. The absolute logistical nightmare of just feeding, moving, and managing this sheer volume of life, it completely defies our standard understanding of ancient warfare.
And here's the crazy part. They weren't just out there fighting with basic swords and spears. Consider the Brahmastra. The ancient texts describe weapons that leave modern sciences completely stunned. When the Brahmastra was unleashed, it was said to rain millions of meteorites from the sky, creating this massive cloud of fire that could literally incinerate entire regions. It would turn everything on land to ash and instantly dry up the waters. But you know what the most terrifying part is? The texts explicitly say that anyone in the vicinity would suffer from sterility for generations. When modern researchers read this, they can't help but draw some chilling parallels to the devastating effects of nuclear radiation and fallout. It's basically an ancient description of a weapon of mass destruction.
Or take the Pramonostra. This wasn't an explosive at all. It was a psychological weapon. It was specifically designed to wipe out the battlefield memory of enemy soldiers. So the troops would remain standing, completely unharmed physically, but they would instantly forget how to fight or even why they were there in the first place. It neutralized entire armies without shedding a single drop of blood. Terrifyingly, it functions a whole lot like a highly advanced modern nerve agent or chemical weapon.
But beyond the mind-bending weapons and the impossible math, what makes this epic truly endure are the people and their deeply hidden tragedies. You have Karna, a warrior with an aura like the sun who carried this agonizing secret. He was actually the eldest brother of the Pandavas. He was fighting on the wrong side. Yet he chose unwavering loyalty to Duryodhana, the only man who embraced him when the rest of the world rejected him. Then there's Gatotkacha, the half-demon son of Bhima. He actually forced Karna to use his ultimate weapon, sacrificing his own life to save Arjuna, but managing to crush the enemy army even as he fell. And perhaps the heaviest burden of all belonged to Sahadeva, the youngest Pandava. He possessed this terrifying gift of absolute foresight. He knew the war would happen. He knew exactly who would die. But he was cursed. If he ever spoke of the future, he would die instantly. So for 18 days, he had to watch his family march toward predetermined death in absolute, agonizing silence.
Which brings us to the 13th day. Honestly, this is one of the most heartbreaking sequences of the entire war, the entrapment of Abhimanyu. The Kauravas formed the Chakravyuha. It's this continuously spinning, 7-layered labyrinth of soldiers. Only 3 people on the Pandavas side even knew how to break it, and 2 of them were strategically lured away. So a 16-year-old boy, Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, stepped up. He knew exactly how to enter the maze, but he didn't know how to exit. Step 1. He enters completely alone and creates absolute havoc.
Step 2. In a terrifying breach of all the rules of war, 7 legendary warriors, 7 Maharathis surround this single teenager. They break his bow, they kill his horses, and they cut off his supplies. And finally, step 3, he fights to his very last breath armed with nothing but the broken wheel of a chariot.
I want you to just pause for a second and absorb the grim reality of the 18th day. Out of the roughly 4 million soldiers who marched onto that battlefield, 3,999,990 lives were lost, and those that remained, just 10 people. The scale of this devastation is almost impossible for the human mind to process.
When the dust finally settled, let's look at the aftermath. On the Pandavas side, you have exactly 7 men left standing, the 5 brothers, Krishna and Satyaki. On the Kaurava side, out of their massive 11 Akshahuni army, only 3 survived: Ashwathama, Kripachaya, and Kritavarma. Just try to imagine that eerie, absolutely deafening silence that must have blanketed that massive landscape of millions of bodies. It's chilling.
So how did the memory of this unimaginable event even reach us today? Well, the epic didn't just start as the massive book we know now. The sage Vedvyas originally wrote a much shorter story, focused purely on the victory, aptly titled Jay. Over generations, as it was retold and passed down, it expanded into Vijay, then into Bharat, until it finally evolved into stage 4, the Mahabharata. It's a colossal epic containing 100,000 verses, which actually makes it the longest epic poem in human history. But was it all just a story? Let's shift gears from literature to hard science for a minute. Back in 2003, astrophysicist Narhari Akachar used astronomical software to map out a highly specific, very rare double eclipse mentioned in the Mahabharata text. The software pinpointed this exact celestial event to the year 367 BCE. And hey, if the sky confirms it, what about the ground? Fast forward to 2018. Excavations in a village called Sonali in Uttar Pradesh unearthed actual ancient chariots, copper swords, warrior armor, and coffins. Archaeology is finally uncovering the physical remnants of the warrior culture described in these texts. The data is genuinely starting to align.
Now, for centuries, our minds have really struggled to picture the sheer scale described in these verses, but now artificial intelligence is bridging that gap. It's a real game changer. We can finally visualize the unseen. AI allows us to recreate the terrifying, constantly moving 7-layered Chakravyuha maze. It can simulate those blinding, sun-dimming explosions of the ancient Ostras, and even attempt to visualize the cosmic energy of Krishna's Virat Roop, that universal form that literally made Arjuna tremble. Technology isn't just creating pretty pictures here, it's actively helping us recover our cultural memory.
But amidst all the destruction, the wild technology, and the massive numbers we've talked about, the absolute core of this epic boils down to a single, timeless message. In the very middle of the battlefield, sitting in a chariot with a broken, hesitant warrior, the ultimate truth was spoken. Arise. This is your duty. This is your karma. Do not mourn what has happened. Do not worry about what will happen. Just do your work. This is the message of the Gita. It is a profound, timeless philosophy of action without attachment, delivered right in the absolute center of human chaos. To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with a question. The Kurukshetra War is built on the backs of incredibly complex individuals, and each of them carries their own intense burdens and secrets. So, which warrior's story should we explore next? Do you want to dive deeper into the tragic loyalty of Karna? Maybe the unmatched bravery of the teenage Abhimanyu? The complicated, conflicting duties of Dronacharya? Or the dark, surviving fury of Ashwatthama? Let me know, because honestly, there is so much more to uncover. Thanks for learning with me today, and keep questioning the history you think you know.